Hello Taurus, and welcome to my channel Inspiring Life Changes. My name is Colette and I'm here today to do a reading for Taurus, Sun, Moon, Venus and Rising. If you don't know where those placements are, there will be a free natal link in the description box down below for you to go and check that out for yourself. So Sun, Moon, Venus, Rising and Cusp Taurus, which means for the cusp you're either going to be at the end of Aries, moving into like the 0 degree point, or you're going to be at the end of Taurus, heading towards the Gemini energy. So if you're kind of 0 point something for right on the cusp of Taurus and Aries, you may want to go and check out my previous Aries video that I've put out there. And if you're on the other end with the Taurus Gemini, kind of 59 mark, moving into kind of 57, 58, 59, 29 degrees of that sign, then you may also want to check out your Gemini read as well. And that's why I've put a free astrological link in the description box down below. So this is a Venus retrograde reading. It's the final Venus retrograde reading that I will be doing. It's the last one in the cycle, Taurus, as Venus turns stations retrograde tomorrow. She doesn't actually turn direct until the 25th, but she will actually be stationing, which means that she will stop moving from our perspective, getting ready to then go back over the point that she's just been over for the third time. This will be the third and last time that Venus will be over the same spot in the sky. So you may also want to check out if you have any planets or placements in that particular area as well, because that could affect you. But check out your Venus sign in particular, because this is a Venus retrograde reading, so I'm kind of focusing my attention on that energy. And it's a follow-on from the readings that I was doing previously of the you and question mark readings. I thought I'd just go a little bit deeper. And this also goes for you cross watchers as well. If you're interested in a Taurus, you've been in a relationship with a Taurus, or you're still in a relationship with a Taurus, then you may also want to check out your own placements too, because Venus retrograde will also be affecting you somewhere as well. And also I will be using 2 decks of cards. One deck I will use as the Taurus deck, and the other deck I will use for the cross watcher, or the person that you have some interest in, Taurus, that you have a energetic and emotional relationship with. But you may feel, because it's a general read, that it's not actually making sense. That deck of cards isn't your read, and it may make more sense for you with the other deck of cards. So you can literally cross the cards over if that makes more sense, and if you resonate better with them that way. Also, because it is just a general read, you may also find that your message isn't here, but it may be in one of the other videos that I've already put out as well for the other placements. So what I've done is separated the cup cards from my Mythic tarot deck. And today, Taurus, you have got 2 come out together, and they've both come out retrograde as well. So, which is interesting, because it's kind of saying that this needs to be worked on or worked through for me. The King of Cups is saying there's something very emotional here, but you're kind of holding back from it. It's kind of almost like it could well be too much, too emotional. You don't know how to cope with it or deal with it, or you're kind of trying to ignore it, trying to kind of just put it aside and not get involved with it. Cups energy relates to the water signs and the emotions in themselves. So the King of Cups would relate to the more kind of masculine energy, And when it's upright, it would be an energy that is kind of confident and aligned with their emotional self. Whereas when it's in reverse, it kind of shows a side that's not quite as aligned, or not quite as mature, maybe. A situation that's kind of rocked this person's world as well, possibly. Relates to the Cancer, Scorpio and Pisces energies. Deeply sensitive, deeply feeling. You yourself, Taurus, may have some very strong water placements in your chart, so this could also relate to your energy here. But with it coming out with the 10 of Cups as well, it's kind of saying to me that there's a situation that is not completed or resolved, but it's kind of being ignored. That this was supposed to be something that was kind of your happy ever after, Taurus. The person that you may thought that you were going to spend the rest of your life with. Because the 10 of Cups is all about this kind of it's like the divine couple. It's like having worked through all these different situations and coming to a completion, coming to a resolution, coming to a point of realizing that, you know, you're supposed to be with this person. This person is the person that is for you, if you like. So there's a deep acknowledgement within this card as well. But because it's in reverse, it feels to me as though there's something here that is being denied or ignored, or isn't playing out. There's like a stunted completion here. It's almost like a stagnant energy, something that has kind of got to a point where it's stuck. And I also feel that because it's the 10 and because there's the 2 of you here, it's like you're both aware of this. You're both aware of this energy between the 2 of you, this connection, this very strong connection, which is very deep. It's not just a physical thing, it's a kind of very spiritual connection, as well as a very like past lives even. But I feel that somehow neither of you are wanting to acknowledge that. Neither of you are ready to acknowledge it, maybe. I also feel that somehow you both know it within you both, but you haven't kind of recognised it for each other or said anything to each other. So we'll see where that takes us. So I'm going to use this deck of cards here for your reading, Taurus. But like I said, if it doesn't seem like it's making sense to you, then you can swap it over with the other deck of cards if that sounds more like your side of the story. So let's see what's happening for Taurus in this Venus retrograde, the very last stages of the Venus retrograde energy before she turns. Energy for Taurus, Sun, Moon, Venus, Rising and Cusp Taurus. What is the energy for Taurus here, please? What is the situation for Taurus during this Venus retrograde period? It's interesting as well, the 10 of Cups could also imply, because it is a Venus retrograde as well, it could also imply that something has come to an end, that something has come to completion, and maybe you're in the stages of kind of recognising that as well. For some of you Taurians out there, maybe you're coming to the realization that whatever it was and has been is what it was. The experience, what you learnt from it, was meant to be, but maybe that was all there was to it. But it's come out your heart of your reading, and I would hesitate to say now that that's all there is to it. There's something here about someone not wanting to let go. Four of Earth is an implication of holding on to something. For me, this card always is the moth to the flame. She literally has this moth in her hands here. I don't know if you can see it there. A little pink moth. And she's kind of holding it. She's kind of cupping it. So it's almost like she's releasing it in a way, or she's kind of giving it the chance or the ability to fly away. You're kind of saying, you know, it's up to you. It's up to you. You can stay or you can go. Moths, of course, are very similar to butterflies in the transformations as well. They go through their own transformational stage. So that could also be what's being implied here as well, that this has been a kind of transformation. This relationship, this whole thing has actually changed yourself, either Taurus as you as the moth, or you as the as this creature here, this fairy, this angel, this however you prefer to see her. I see her with kind of a wood sprite, tree sprite maybe, an earth sprite. Somebody who's very grounded, somebody who's very kind of stable, very Taurian type of energy really. Relates to the earth energies, Capricorn and Virgo as well. But that's the kind of thing that I'm seeing today. That's what it's kind of like she's saying, you know, you don't have to remain here. This is your choice. This is your choice. If you want to stay connected here, if you want to stay connected, then, you know, that's fine. But I'm not holding you down. I'm not holding on to you. I'm not stopping you. It has to be your choice, is what I'm kind of picking up here. So let's see what the covering card is here. But I am getting a feeling of transformation as well, that there has been transformation within this relationship. Interesting, we've got the 8 of Earth over the top as well. There's very earthy energy going on here, Taurus. So the 8 is about, for me, the 8, this card is all about, again, it's about growth and transformation, because the violin, this beautiful violin here, starts off as this kind of, you know, it starts off as a tree, it starts off as this, rooted, and there's a similarity here between this here and this here as well. This connection, it's like there is this deep connection here, this deep, even if you're not together, it's like you're still very psychically connected, very intuitively connected, very spiritually even connected here. But there is change. I just feel that this card here is kind of representation of that transformation and that change. Because it starts off, like I say, it starts off as a tree and then it gets turned into something. So it's working on something, working through something, which is kind of what I was picking up here. That isn't happening. There is nothing happening. It's like you've got to this point, this stagnant point of kind of knowing that this is your happiness, but neither one of you is doing anything about it or making a move to it. But there's a lot of emotion around it. It's making you both very emotional as well. Yeah, I'm just kind of getting, you know, there's blockage. This is your challenge. This is what you need to work through, if you like. This is what you need to get over, your obstacle here, which is about working on this. Because it goes from the 4 to the 8. Which is kind of like the two of you coming together in a way and creating the 8. And the 8 is about you working together on it rather than working, or rather than being separate and still kind of mentally, emotionally, like I was saying, spiritually, still having this really strong connection, and neither of you are doing anything other than thinking about the other, really, is what I'm getting here as well. And so you're both the number 4, and you need to come together and work together as the number 8. That's what I'm kind of picking up here. And then you can transform it, or at least you can work on it, whether that's transforming it into something new and wonderful, which is basically what this violin is. It comes from a tree and then it's created, it's worked on, and it becomes something wonderful that is going to kind of bring forth joy to people because they can hear it being played, and it's like it becomes an instrument of beauty and it becomes much more than it was in many ways. And it takes on a new life as well. It takes on its own kind of energy and its own new path. As a violin, as an instrument, rather than it just being a block of wood, or, you know, that has been cut down originally from a tree. Okay, so what's in your head, Taurus, and what you're aware of is this card of the call or judgment. So it's like you do know deep down, or even like not even deep down, but you do know, it's like it's in your head that you do need to do something about this, that this is a very significant relationship, a very significant experience in your life. It has kind of taken you to a place of maturity in some ways as well. But because it's in reverse, it's kind of saying to me that you're not, again, it's that kind of thing of nothing happening. You're not heeding the call here. You're not listening to the you're not listening to what you know you should be doing, really. I kind of get the sense of a kind of karmic experience here as well. Something that was karmic, something that was it's in many ways meant to be, on a bigger, more kind of divine, if you like, you know, as I was talking about here, this kind of divine marriage, the trials and the tribulations of having to go through something to get to something much more fulfilling or satisfying. But there is a sense within this card as well, almost like, you know, if you leave it much longer, it's not going to be there anymore. Because it's kind of disappearing. I always wonder, like, you know, when it's up that right way, for me, it's kind of like it's appearing. She's appearing out of nowhere. A sense of urgency. A sense of, like, you know, listen to this. Take note of this. Look for the signs. What are you feeling? And that's kind of what I feel with this card today, because it's upside down. It always almost feels to me as though it's kind of disappearing. Like it's been a long time. It's been hanging around for a long time. And it needs to be put to rest. And also what you're hoping, in some ways you are hoping that this will be resolved. You're hoping that it will reach a resolution here as well. But because it's in reverse, you're not sure what that resolution will be either. Or how to go about bringing in that resolution. Which may also be why you're kind of putting it on the back burner here and kind of hoping that something's going to make a difference, that something will kind of step in and take over, so that you don't actually have to do anything about it. It will get done for you. Is also what I'm kind of feeling here as well. So what is the energy that Taurus has been working through, working with, but is moving away? What's the energy for Taurus that has been in their life that they've been working through? Also with the Judgment card, there can be a need for forgiveness as well around this energy. A forgiving of your own actions within a relationship, as well as a forgiving of the other person as well. There may be within this connection a feeling that that there needs to be, somebody needs to take responsibility, shall we say. Somebody needs to see their role in it or their part in it. But at the same time, there does also need to be forgiveness, because if there isn't forgiveness of yourself, Taurus, as well as the other person as well, then there isn't going to be a resolution. A resolution is not going to is not going to materialize, and you're just going to end up here in this energy of still having this kind of connection and still needing to work through something, and yet still not, I feel as though not being able to move on to anything else as well. Of staying in that same place. And you have the temptation card. This is what you've been working through. In reverse again. Another major arcana card here. So you've been working through some elements of your own kind of deeper shadow nature, I feel, because this is the card of the devil, temptation. So it can relate to our inner fears, it can relate to our the things that kind of hold us back. The apple I find quite interesting as well, because the bite out of this apple is also in the shape of a heart as well. If I hold it up this way, you can see the shape of the heart there, and her wings kind of make the leaf for the apple there as well. And she's obviously overindulged here. Which is another element of the temptation card, of the devil card. But it can be holding yourself, again, this element of kind of holding yourself in the same place for fear of moving beyond it as well. Like a place of being caught, like chained to something, or chained to your beliefs, or your even a part of yourself that you've become so used to. It's almost, in some ways, it's like an addiction. It's almost like, and I'm not talking about an addiction to somebody else, I'm talking about an addiction to your own kind of personality. In the sense of kind of letting something go, letting that, letting who you have become transform into something else. For fear of losing yourself, or fear of losing your own identity. And possibly even with these energies here as well, kind of the fear of actually like submerging yourself in something that was so deep. But there was this fear that you were going to lose yourself, your identity, who you kind of relate to as you. And so there's this really kind of wanting to hold on to that. But you also have the Eight of Water here as well, so that's interesting because it's kind of talking to me about having to walk away from that. And I don't see this as having to walk away from the relationship, or that it could have been something that brought up, I feel it brought up kind of a side of yourself that you had to face and had to deal with. And it could have also been the reason why the relationship has parted. But I don't feel that that's so much what this Eight of Water is about today. It's interesting because there's chests here in both of these as well. There's this chest of treasure here. And there's a chest here as well. Where am I? Yeah. There's a chest there. And that chest there. And they kind of imply to me, you know, it's like all that glitters isn't gold. All that glistens isn't gold. So it's kind of also saying that you could have been fooled or tricked by something that didn't necessarily turn out to be the way you thought it was going to be. Also, your values here, Taurus, what are you valuing? Are you putting too much value on this kind of financial need, or the material world as well, because the temptation or the devil card very much is to do with the material world that we live in. But I'm kind of getting this feeling that it's got a lot to do with you walking away from something that had you bound. But it was like a part of yourself, like walking away from a part of yourself. You've had to deal with this side of your own nature, is what I'm kind of feeling here, because the devil card can also talk about our own nature as well. And the kind of, I suppose, what people would call the toxic side, I prefer to call it the shadow side of our own nature. The side that we kind of try to ignore, pretend it's not there. And the more we do that, the more it kind of will take over our lives at certain times. And cause lots of problems, lots of stress, lots of grief. It can destroy relationships. And that's kind of what I'm feeling, kind of what I'm picking up here, is that this is about you walking away from a part of yourself. And this could also possibly have something to do with this forgiveness element here as well. That you're having to forgive a part of your own story, your own life, your own history. Coming to terms with things within yourself. And maybe that's also what this treasure chest is about as well. That you have found a treasure here. In doing so, you've actually found a treasure that's actually more meaningful than the treasure that you thought you had. Like this was a false kind of sense of security, if you like, within yourself, almost like a persona, almost like like a character in a way that you would play in certain situations. But it wasn't real. It wasn't real. I get the feeling that it wasn't real. But this is a lot more real. This is the deeper treasure within you that you're kind of discovering as you walk away from this falseness. But I don't think it's related. I mean, it could be related to the person that you're connected with emotionally and energetically. It could be Taurus. That they forced you maybe to look at parts of yourself. Because what's underneath the subconscious Nine of Water is about wish fulfillment, and again, there's a chest here. An open chest with these pearls hanging off of it, and pearls, it was reversed, but pearls in this particular deck of cards, pearls represent love, and I think it's because of the different layers. So this is kind of all the kind of like a pearl necklace represents something very honest, I think, somehow. So I'm picking up, there's an honesty here. But also what I'm picking up again is kind of going back to this energy here of like, she's surrounded by all these diamonds, and it's almost like this was all the force. Like a diamond has many different facets, it has many kind of, so it's almost like different sides of your own nature. But if you look here, she also has in her hand, and she's clutching it really tightly, is this key. So it's like she's found something deep within her. This is the subconscious realm, so this is something that you may not even be aware of yet, Taurus. That within all of this, and again I just get this kind of sense of the falseness, or seeing through something. Seeing something for what it was rather than what you thought it was. Again, it's going back to this temptation card. That same kind of energy of it not being real. And maybe even with it being upside down here, you are kind of recognizing what you had, what you've lost. It's a key to something. A key to a door, a key to a chest, possibly a key to a heart. A key to your heart, maybe. Maybe you're realizing how important your heart is, how important, you know, it is that the person that you give your heart to and maybe you haven't as of yet fully given your heart because it's in reverse as well, so you may still be holding on to that key because you don't want to just give it to somebody who you think may not appreciate it. So you give them all this instead. It's like giving them the glamour and the glitz, but keeping hold of your heart is kind of what I'm feeling here. That you still haven't actually given that key to somebody. Taurus. So it's like it was something that you thought was a wish fulfilled or a dream come true. But you still didn't trust it enough to give your heart, to give the key to your heart. So let's see what you have coming into your near future for you to work with, Taurus. Also with the call card as well, it can also be saying that it's time. There's a sense of it's time, you know, it's time. It's in reverse though. So there is still this kind of holding back. There is still this reluctance. And you've got the 3 of fire in reverse. So I feel, again, it's kind of like, you know, being all at sea. It's kind of this energy of which way is the wind going to blow. It's a kind of waiting for the right time, waiting for the wind to change kind of thing. But also kind of realizing that you have to kind of take control, or you have to some way be the, what's the word here? The kind of director of your own show, if you like, or the driver of your own vehicle. But I also get a sense of kind of softening here as well, that there's something that's going to soften. The 3 of fire is about a risk taking as well. It is kind of having to take a risk, but it's in reverse. So there is also this sense again of just kind of drifting, or even just staying in one place, of actually like not actually moving forward with anything. Things not actually, again, yeah, that kind of sense of things staying still, which is kind of what I'm picking up within this whole reading, Taurus, is this very kind of energy of things just being, just as they are. It's kind of like, and this could have a lot to do with what's happening outside in the world at this moment in time as well, that you're not in a good place for things to move forward. So this person has got the Prince of Swords and the 5 of Swords. So they're not in a particularly good headspace either. The Prince of Swords relates to the Page of Swords, and it's in reverse. Again, this person also has this sword clutched to their chest as well. Very similar kind of feeling with this, kind of this being clutched to this person's chest. So they aren't quite sure how to approach this situation either. Swords is all about communication. It's how we express ourselves. And when it's the prince or when it's the page, it's a young energy. So it may be a time where this person is kind of just beginning to think about communicating, opening the, what's the word I'm trying to think of here? Opening the gates to communication, or the doors if it's been closed. They may be thinking along those lines, but they're not sure of how to go about it. And the 5 of Swords is also implying that as well, because this is their obstacle. Their obstacle, adversity, swords again, they don't know how to approach this. And if you look, she has got her head turned away here as well. So I feel as though this person wants to communicate. I feel as though this person wants to start some form of reconnection even. But they want their communication to be heartfelt as well. But because it's in reverse, they don't know how to do it. They just don't know. This is the covering card. This is their challenge, Taurus. They're blocked by their own sense of kind of feeling this energy of holding things back. Again, this person's got these two swords here behind her, and the Two of Swords is a card of decision, of kind of making a decision. You've got the Three of Swords down here, and the Three of Swords is all about a painful situation. So I feel as though this person still has this energy in front, like they're still being blocked by the pain and the hurt and the because you've got two swords crossed here as well, down here. But they're looking away from it. So again, they don't want to look at it. They don't want to focus on it. They don't want to. But both of these cards are swords. So it's like they're almost like they're, you know, it's constantly there. They haven't put it down completely because they've got this sword in their hand as well. So it's working through an adverse situation here. This person is blocked by all the memories in a way, all the adversities, all the kind of like, you know, I could do it like this, but then, you know, this could happen. It's almost like they're overthinking here in a way as well, and stopping anything from happening. Even though they would like to approach, I feel, with this prince, but they do not know. And they've got as well the Five of Cups here. So again, another adverse energy, feeling out in the cold, feeling that if they do approach, that's where they're going to end up. So this is why they're staying in this energy here of not communicating, because they don't want to be here. Although in some ways they already are, and in their head they're kind of aware of the fact that they're already here. But they're already here, I kind of feel, on their own terms. And if they kind of approach you, Taurus, and you kind of say no, then they're going to feel even more like they're in this place. Three spilt cups behind her, and two of the cups down here are still standing. So it is saying, you know, that there is hope here, but this person's not seeing that hope. Like they're not seeing, you know, they're not focusing their attention on what they need to deal with because of that worry and that fear of the fact that you may just put them even further out in the cold, Taurus. Pardon me. Okay, so we have the Seven of Staves here, the Seven of Wands, which is in the energy of what they've been working through and working with. So if you look here, she's literally on her knees, and it's kind of saying to me that she's had a lot to deal with. This energy. Actually, she's not on her knees. She does look like she is, but she's not. I'll take that back. She's not on her knees. Although she does look like she is to me. But she's not, doesn't look very strong in this card. She doesn't look very sure of herself. She looks as though she doesn't quite know how much more she can take, how much more she can defend herself, how much more she can keep things at bay here. So it's an energy of feeling like a lot of things coming at this person all at once, and they're kind of, or like, you know, one thing ends and something else immediately kind of starts for them. It's a place of having to defend your opinions, or defend what you believe in, which is kind of your opinions as well. Standing up for your rights in some ways, standing up for who you are, just kind of standing up and saying, look, this is me, this is who I am. If you don't like it, then there's not a lot I can do about it, really. But this person, I kind of feels that this is the energy they've had to work with, possibly with you, Taurus. This kind of sense of constantly having to deal with all these problems and issues, and that they might not even have all have been because of them. But where they're coming from on a subconscious level is that they wanted to build something here. It is in reverse, but they did want to build something with you here, Taurus. They wanted it to go long term, and I think that's very kind of obvious with this 10 of Cups that's come out here as well. There was a kind of hope of a long-term happiness here, and that the two of you kind of understood each other really well. But something got in the way. Something got in the way, and something stopped that from becoming a reality. And there's not really a lot of cups here that are kind of saying that at this moment in time that this is going to change in particular. It's all swords, and the only 2 cups that we do have on the table are the 8, which is the walking away cup, and the 5, which is being left out in the cold here. So there's not, although there's a lot of emotion on both sides, it's not like either of you are feeling particularly loving towards each other, I feel. Even though there is a deep sense of love within the reading, with the 10 of Cups there, with the King of Cups there as well. But it doesn't feel to me, Taurus, as though this relationship at this time is coming back together, although you both might want that. There is a sense of the emotion. Again, see, we've got strength and we've got swords, the 7 of Swords. So this person with this strength card here and the 7 of Swords here, I feel that their strength for them at the moment is kind of keeping things to themselves. The 7 can be about keeping things close to your chest. It is in reverse, so I don't feel as though it's something that's working for them, even though they may find strength within that. It may be how they feel strong within this. Because the King of Cups in reverse as well can also be very much a kind of sense of the victim here as well. And because it's come out with both of you, or with the Ten of Cups in reverse, so the pair of you are both feeling this energy in reverse. You could both be feeling victimized here, which could also have something to do with the energy of the call coming out in reverse here as well, and this need for forgiveness, but neither of you are quite sure how to go about that either. So I feel that for this person, again, it's more swords, it's more in their head. They're completely in their head about this. They're just not in their heart at all at this time, I don't feel. But there is still this very strong attraction, almost like you are this flame here, and they can't help but be drawn to you, which maybe is one of the reasons also why there's this kind of separation here. Maybe also their strength is to stay away, their strength is to not have connection, not to get involved. Because she's carrying these 5 swords here, and we have the 5 of swords here. So it's very much about, for me, adversity here. It's very much about them working through and not yet seeing. They're not seeing clearly. This person's not seeing things clearly. They haven't reached a point yet of where they can accept that what happened maybe had to happen for a reason even. I'm saying the 5 of swords here with the kind of the 2 and the 3, and there's the 2 swords here as well in the background, the 2 crossed over here. So it's like this person thinks a lot about this. They think a lot about this, and then they make their mind up, they come to a decision about it, but then they don't stick with that decision, so nothing changes. And then also there could be an element here of them deceiving themselves about their own feelings, and like I was saying, of this strength, feeling that they're being strong when really it's working against them rather than with them here. But they're deceiving themselves about believing that this is the best way to deal with it. And it makes them feel stronger. So it's almost like a vicious cycle that this person's in. Very, very much in their head. Very much in their head. You could have somebody who's got a lot of air in their astrological chart. So it could be somebody who is a Libra, an Aquarius, or a brain goes blank every time. Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini, of course. Gemini, where we have Virgo retrograde at this moment in time. So we have this card of a time for healing. A time for healing is what the moon wisdom is saying. So this may be healing that you are both having to do separately, because that's kind of what I'm feeling. I don't feel as though there's any kind of coming back together here yet. But I also don't feel as though there's any kind of separation here either, as such. There may be distance and there may be physical separation, but I don't feel there's emotionally or, yeah, psychically, intuitively, even energetically. I don't think either of you have kind of disconnected from each other. We have acknowledgement as the card that's come out here. And it says, look after yourself by acknowledging your desires and needs and taking steps to meet them. Examine and note your gifts, talents, and achievements. When you accept all aspects of yourself, you feel centered and confident. Then you can genuinely acknowledge others. Become aware of and nurture the good qualities of the people in your life so that they feel relaxed and happy in your presence. Angel wisdom reminds you to recognize who you truly are, an evolved spirit in a human body. When you acknowledge your spiritual dimensions, you will align with your true self and your spirit will soar. And the affirmation is, I acknowledge who I truly am. Which is interesting. I think that kind of goes along with the judgment card as well here. Maybe judging yourselves very harshly as well, Taurus, in this. But that's kind of what I'm feeling here as well with this healing card coming out too. Acknowledging, because I don't feel either of you are acknowledging this or accepting the situation. It's just this kind of like, let's just ignore it. Let's just pretend nothing's still there. Let's just pretend that there isn't any connection here. So Taurus, I'm going to leave your reading there and say I hope you have, or I hope it has been some help to you. I hope you have found something within it that will help. It is just a general read, so it may not resonate, and it won't resonate with everybody out there. But please, if you do like my video, can you thumbs it up for me so that it can get out into the bigger YouTube world and be kind of recognised by the algorithms, and then other people can kind of see it come back to my channel and subscribe. So also, if you have subscribed to my channel recently, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you're watching my videos, please subscribe. I'm really trying to help build my channel at this moment in time, and it would be a huge help to me if you did subscribe and tap the bell for the future videos that I will be putting out as well. I've just recently put out a astrology and a tarot read for the new moon in Cancer solar eclipse that just took place yesterday, so those are up on my channel now as well. Like I was saying, this is the kind of end of the Venus retrograde cycle readings that I'm doing. We're now in Cancer season, so I'm going to move into readings for Cancer season. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to go about doing them, but I will be doing something possibly with the Neptune retrograde that's happening as well. As Venus turns direct, Neptune also goes retrograde, so we will still have 5 planets in retrograde even after Venus turns direct again. So yeah, again, thank you very much for listening. I wish you all the best, and please take really good care of yourselves, Taurus, and also take good care of anybody else that you can at this time. And hopefully I will see you again soon.